Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to all my friends on the Earthship. Welcome to my little portal of time that I've created, where you can relax and listen to a building understanding of the importance of spiritual alchemy. I am Cindy Carter. I'm an intuitive, an artist, an energy healer, and a spirit consultant. I've created this alchemy podcast each Sunday as a progressive building of information, and it allows you to see your role as the Master Alchemist of your life, of the directorship of your life, as you witness in yourself your own sovereignty and your own harmony on an earth. So the last couple of podcasts we talked about activating your observer. That's, being conscious as the witness. Observing the energy around you is what we talked about last week, without the need to be charged up positively or negatively from what you see or what you feel. When you're being the observer, you are looking through the eyes of the heart and observing from a neutral space. And this can really allow you to not be triggered by everyone you encounter. I mean, you could go to Walmart, if you're being the conscious witness. It's quite a show. Being the observer allows you to be stable in your field of emotions, in your mental constructs, and the nature of your epigenetic markers that might be causing mayhem on the body or the mind. So witnessing the life you're leading like it's all a big plot twist is a great way to adapt to change. So today we would like to talk about conscious alchemy, conscious diversity, the ability to allow and acknowledge the diverse sum of wisdom that you are. You are a very diverse human, even though you may not realize it. Even with what you witness in yourself, sometimes you see the ugly parts of your thoughts or your actions. You might even be having some self-sabotage. So to be able in that moment to consciously make an alteration of that moment, it's like, when it's spiraling downward, to consciously pull yourself away from the negative thought by remembering your diversity. How diverse is the sum of you in the moment that you are right now? If you're thinking that you're not worthy, or you're not loved, or you're having the doubt frequency run all over you, well, I would say that you're being pretty diverse right now. I mean, you're having aspects of yourself possibly that are not being so nice. You're having thoughts that might have ridicule or judgment in them for yourself. So, this is how diverse your conscious expressions may be. They're wanting airtime in your body. This is what I talked about a couple podcasts ago called the Grand Purge, where we are purging the knowledge and the wisdom and the grief and the shame and the blame. We're purging all the akash out of our bodies. So the knowing that you are diverse, that you have diverse expressions, means you can manage the influence of the density. You've got diversity. You can claim neutral in the diversity. You can claim neutral from the thoughts that are not so nice by remembering that the diverse sum of you brings all kinds of flavors. Some are not so nice. So let's work with some of those that are not so nice. Let's not avoid them. Let's not ridicule them, judge them, put them in a box and say, I'm never going to talk about that one again. I'm not even going to look at myself that way again. That's so ugly. You have to look at it, just briefly, enough as a witness to see what you can or cannot do. You see, there is harmony in a life and a lifespan. And you can choose harmonic expressions through the diversity of you. I mean, how many past lives have you had? Thousands, maybe? If you've had thousands of epigenetic influences from your family members like generations ago, they're still influencing your perceptions and your emotions and your mind. So these diverse expressions that are accumulated consciousness, they're a diverse field of information that you as the alchemist get to consciously choose how to work with. It's kind of like time now to look at the ugly side of your own thoughts, of your own actions, of your own self-sabotage. So then after the clearing out and the redirecting, you're then able to diversify your expression to a more kind, more wisdom-filled, more diversified way of being in your awareness, giving your soul this allowance of love, this allowance of peace to flow to and from you without any infiltrations of negative thoughts, either by you or by another. You see, your auric field becomes more intact, more fluid for your own diversity without the diversity of others' influence. When you become the observer and when you become conscious in your diversity. You see, when you allow the diversity of your expression, you can now enact a type of inclusion. An inclusion that you can now stop separating those parts of you out, to ignore, to ridicule, to blame. I mean, you're a mishmash of consciousness. And to include all your expressions is the ability to allow a new network of thought. This is compassion for all that you see and witness in yourself. It's a lot more loving than maybe the thoughts that you're having, more kind in your expressions and your activities. This would be a really nice alchemic change of someone's life. Remember that the lens through which you view the world, it's, the lens that's created by your diversity. It colors your decisions. All the beings that you've been, all the things that you've witnessed in other lives brought here to this influence, this lifetime, to witness your own actions and motivations. Whoa, that's a lot. So you need to be mindful of this when you're looking at the diverse nature of yourself and what you would like to choose in your alchemy. Because this is where divine choice, this is the truth of our being, to allow the diversity of ourself through the truth of our being. This lets us hone and filter and accentuate what does help us in this life, what does accentuate our service to self and our service to others. So let's look at the diversity of yourself. Okay, you've had numerous past lives, check. Epigenetic markers, check. Present life and past life traumas, check. Let's not forget the other side of the spectrum. The wisdom and knowledge and awareness, the service, the kindness, the grandness of the beings that you have been. But just, you're not allowing those in your body right now, in your mind right now, in your aura or in your essence. So think about that for a second. You have a body with all this airtime in it, for all the expressions of your diversity. Which ones are you allowing airtime? The ones that are sad, depressed, angry? The ones that are pitiful, frightened, anxiety-filled? Or are you going to start being the observer of the whole package of you through the neutrality of yourself? You're going to see the whole spectrum of light, the wisdom, the kindness, The loving feeling, the peace, the harmony within you, the stable structure, it's there. It's just the side that you've maybe not been introduced to. That's okay. You are lots of knowledge and lots of awareness of all the beings that you've ever been. You can bring them into this body. You have expressions in the cosmic fields, in the future fields of time, or even the simultaneous lives that you might be leading. That's a pretty nice bowl of fruit, isn't it? Well, some fruit doesn't do well in proximity to others. So to have a great, nice, kind of well-balanced fruit basket, you might want to look at the fruit that you're including. How diverse is this basket? I mean, there are some pretty nasty fruits out there. I'm sorry. I don't like durian. Some people love it. But it's not in my basket. It doesn't express itself as nasty smell. I don't like nasty smell. So I need to have, local fruit in my basket. That's apples and berries. But what about the citrus fruits from other places and exotic fruits from other lands? This does comprise my bowl of fruit because I am aware of my multidimensional nature. I'm aware that I am in simultaneous presence of exotic lands. I will allow exotic thoughts. I will allow citrus feelings. That was weird, but it felt good. You see, you can reach all kinds of varieties of yourself when you don't even include them in your life just by consciously redirecting. Like sometimes you have varieties inside of you that are being played out, given a lot of airtime, that maybe degrade yourself or judge others. Or the variety of you that tells you that you're fat or unloved. Maybe your inclusion will have the juiciest, sweetest, perfectly ripe portions of this assortment. This is diversity. Collect what you want. It will be balanced and serve yourself in many ways through the diversity of your being, but it's done consciously. Conscious awareness of your diversity. The other portions that I choose to put in a brown bag under the counter, the stinky one, it's going outside. I can use them another time for some mashed up version of fruit compote, or I can give it to someone else. You see, consciously choosing what to present to myself, for myself, to be comfortable in a body. But I have to look at all of it. I think I'll choose to be kind in my thoughts about myself, to include this portion of my diversity. I know it's there. I am part God source. I know I have life force running through my body. I am the heart of the central sun. So it's time to consciously diversify. I am the wisdom of 1,000 grandfathers. You might redirect your thought that way. I am the innocence of 1,000 children. I am the diversity of 1,000 worlds. I am the universe, and it is the sum of me. In this diversity, you get to consciously change how you speak, how you think, and how you feel towards yourself and towards others. This is the alchemy. It's high alchemy of a spirit to be accepted fully in a body of all your diversity. To accept all the versions of you, no matter what seemingly negative expression you've held. To accept that you are also the opposite of this, that you are the positive, uplifting portion of this expression. But you need to see it from your neutrality, from your observer stance. Conscious diversity. The witness of your diversity. For instance, If you're telling yourself that your body is like not working right, that your body is fat. I had a client this week really struggling with that for her whole life. And you see, she takes things away from the body and holds things back and ridicules it. It's just really a burden to her. So to come into a new existence on earth, she might want to rethink this and rewire this perspective from the heart of her conscious diversity, to change how she speaks to and of herself. It's a huge step in self-awareness and grounded well-being. She realized that for herself in a session recently, actually today. So ask yourself, how would my heart want me to speak to my body? I'm sure it would be more kind and more loving if you choose the conscious diversity of your wisdom, of the being of you that was so righteous and so beautiful that you gave of service by giving of service to yourself. This would be diversity, the other end of the spectrum that you haven't witnessed for yourself. So the effort to be the alchemist in the moment is to assist your brain to jump the fence, per se, of that deep groove, that you embed in it. Lifetime after lifetime making the same choices. Your brain does come into these grooves for that. To have and bring another thought from diversity through you will allow that groove, allow the thought, that the synapses to move through the brain into a new idea and charge something else, possibly from your life force, possibly from one of your more wisdom-filled, diverse beings. The many lives of wisdom, bring them here to your heart to make the redirect of your mind and of your emotions. Remember that you're really a strong being of high consciousness. So diversify in this body, in this lifetime. You have to be the grand orchestrator of all this influence. What do you want to influence in your daily decisions? The voice that says, I hope this old body doesn't mess up today. Or the voice that says and feels and emits a really loving thought. Like, I'll support my body this day to be in alignment with peace. I'll support you. Please support me. This gives you the redirect to make another action, a more loving and more conscious action of your diversity, of your body and your mind, to come into more harmony through being the conscious observer of your diverse nature. So be the alchemist. You really have got to be conscious in the moment, in the right now of it, of what's around you, what energy is present. How am I sounding to myself? Did that feel good, what I just thought? If not, redirect it. Flip it to be what you want. It's like a fake it till you make it thing. When the brain makes these deep, deep grooves of your repeated thoughts, your repeated actions, those routines are so deep in your influence, they're so heavy in the channels of your brain that they don't allow you to make these new thoughts. So let's, untap these portions of the brain and bring a different change or a different routine to this groove. So this might sound a little simple, but just change what you do every day. These things that you do every day that are deep and stiff movements, that something you do every day because it's comfortable or it just feels good to you to do the same thing, well, it's hard to find your diversity there. That's a comfort zone that your diversity doesn't need. Your wisdom, your centered harmonic feeling is in there. It's hard to access your life force in extreme routines. So in thinking of what your routine you have, like look at the morning routine, those unwavering things that you get discombobulated from if you don't have them. I do like my yerba mate every morning. That tea makes me feel good. But if I don't have it, I can still move on and still uplift myself without it. But if you're one of those that has to have coffee, has to have newspaper, and you don't feel good without it, you need to stretch your mind into something else. Maybe you stretch your body first. Maybe you have hot water with lemon before your coffee. There are these things to disrupt your routine. Get up on the other side of the bed. Anything helps this now. We cannot be so heavily in our extremes that we can't see the quantum nature of the bombardment of the mass media or the mind control influences that are so deep with us right now. The deceptions are huge. The desperation is huge. And it's being played out in everybody's life through their diversity, through portions of themselves being exposed through this grand purging of their Akashic past. It's ugly, and you're seeing it everywhere. So let us love the one having the experience, and remember the diversity of yourself and accept it as a portion of you that already knows what's happening. That it's okay to trust what's happening. It's okay to trust the universe and let yourself be free to accept your diversity consciously. When I say consciously, it's like a set intention that you live with each day, each moment. I choose to be aware in the moment of the spiraling thoughts, of the spiraling feelings that I have, and hold these feelings that don't serve me to bring me more into harmony. I need to be consciously aware. If this display of emotions or ideas is not aware, it's not conscious. It runs amok and it influences your life in many unseen ways. But you can choose to be aware in the moment, consciously, and not ridicule it, no matter what you're thinking, no matter what you're displaying, but instead loving it. Loving the one who's having the feeling and say, it's okay, you're having the thought. It's okay that you're having the feeling. Let's move through this. Let's shift the energy. The idea is to be the alchemist in every given moment. It's very empowering. It's gradual, but it's enlightening. To become aware of the truth that you are, the diversity that you hold, and then choosing to utilize your God-given right on an earth to be the alchemist and bring yourself to a better thought. This is conscious diversity, to a better harmonic, to operate your life. It might just be to uplift yourself, but you might want to redirect to your diversity, to finally accept in your mind and your emotions the pure devotion that you are, the pure presence that you are. This is conscious, diverse living, being comfortable on an earth in all your diverse expressions. But it must be done consciously, or, well, you're kind of seeing it on TV and at the gas station, for that matter. People's diversities are showing. I mean, abrupt, angry, delusional, just really plain weird, and it's going to get weirder. The way you ride this universe out is to connect to this earth and ground your thoughts, ground your ideas in the conscious use of your diversity. Here you are. Diverse inclusion. Inclusion of cultures of all kinds, if people of all kinds, people with all kinds of ideas. Because you started loving yourself, you can now include others. Do you see how we come to universal peace? Through conscious diversity within yourself. This is self-love. This is compassion for yourself, to consciously work with your own diversity. It's all divine. And if you'd like to speed up this process with yourself by concentrating and focusing on yourself for 11 days, I have a Template of Grace audio series. It's an 11-day meditation series. It's like 15 short little sessions or 14 minutes, with these sessions with Tibetan bowls in the back. It's a really beautiful, high understanding of how the cells take on new information. And this information is the allowance of grace in your life. And I'm having a lot of really great feedback from people about this template. I'll give you an example. I worked with a man a few years ago who I noticed on Facebook about a year later that he was really displaying a lot of extreme anger, a lot of extreme sadness, and really disturbing posts on Facebook. It alerted a lot of red flags to his family and his friends. They all became quite concerned. He does have support, but he didn't see himself out of this pain. He only saw and observed himself through the pain and through the trauma. He couldn't reach the other portions of his diversity. So about a month ago, I reached out to him and I gifted him this series. He's not a meditator at all or anything like that, but he took it and he committed to himself for it. And it really did allow him the space to feel himself again, to feel a new awareness of himself, something other than depression, something other than his pain. You see, this is what has to happen, to consciously focus and consciously have the idea to do something else, something that you do want, not what you don't want. So I want to tell you, this man, he left his house recently in Florida and started offering himself free to anyone that needed help during these hurricanes. He said his pain is letting go because he's now allowing himself to give instead of take his own energy down. He utilized this 11 days of grace just for his own healing. And now he's making a huge turnaround in his life by assisting others through his unselfishness, through seeing his pain beyond his pain, and seeing his joy in helping and assisting others. So I commend my friend Kale for doing the work. It's a joy for me to witness, and you can find this template of grace on my website. It's $33. I wish all of you the love of your own being and to accept the conscious diversity of the quantum expression of you. Many days of conscious alchemy moving forward for all of us. Many blessings.